probably about 5 years ago, we recognized the role that we needed to play in building this ecosystem into a more inclusive marketing, in that we noticed that our clients were not culturally diverse. There was a lot of unconscious bias to them choosing the types of people that they wanted to work with, the types of creators, the types of influencers. We would put diverse people in front of them, and then we'd get back a very undiverse group that they were choosing. And I think that, again, that was just unconscious. So to address this, the first thing we did as an agency was consciously to add quotas to our campaigns for diversity. As part of that, we needed to educate our clients on the need for quotas and how to more accurately represent society. But more importantly, that they would be tapping into diverse customer groups through working with creators that also tapped into diverse communities, and that they would have a more effective campaign. So at the simple level, if all of your creators are the same, you're probably tapping into the same audience. So diversity was just a smart business decision as well. Mm-hmm. But I am pleased to say, as you mentioned, that our clients are now coming to us with diversity in their briefs. There's more awareness. We do need to work with them on understanding what diversity means to them as part of that briefing process. So I think that can represent and manifest itself differently in different businesses. So I'd say that's probably, it's great diversity is on the radar, and now we need to work with them to define what that looks like.
Diversity is present and I think is fastly gaining a lot of traction and importance in not only the boardroom but in a lot of discussions in relation to brand building. I think brands particularly are focused on the consumer first to drive growth. So that's kind of a big shift from marketing 10, 15 years ago, where you started with the product first and how you were going to, engage customers around the product. But the consumer is sort of where most brands are starting in terms of being able to look for those growth opportunities. So really understanding the consumer is the key sort of facet of many brands, and obviously data and insight drives that. At L'Oreal, we have a beauty panel where we consistently talk to over 1,000 beauty consumers across Australia, any given week, month, day of the year. If we've got a question, we can sort of tap into that. So I think this drive for diversity comes from sort of a really strong focus from marketers around trying to understand their consumer more. And as multiculturalism becomes mainstream within Australia, well, naturally, it's a really important facet of any marketing campaign is how we appeal to this sort of diversity of audience.
There's a couple of sectors that I find quite interesting in relation to this topic. So banking, for example, you'll see lots of money spent on billboard advertising to get new migrants to sign up a bank account, or it might be telco as well. So you get to the airport and it's targeting that first visitor. But if you actually look at the behavior, there's a stat, I think 70% of students who come to Australia already have family and friends here. So there's this whole hidden kind of connection, family connection, diaspora connection that can be unlocked. Where what we find is people come in to the country, they go and stay with their family and friends for a couple of weeks before they sort out their accommodation, or they may stay there for 6 months, depending what that might be. And one of the first activities they do together will be, you need to open up a bank account. So it's the person in Australia who's already advocating for that. So in terms of banks, we've done some research and insights around this, but to really drive that further, and CommBank's done this naturally very well because they started with a big base of multicultural communities. And by understanding that insight, then you're able to tap into the fact that the diaspora are the influencers for some of those new accounts from overseas. We see that similar behavior in tourism as well, where you've got visiting friends and relatives. Once again, in some communities, really high rates of that. We just did a campaign with Destination New South Wales, and that campaign went. It was to promote the FIFA Women's World Cup for the Jamaican team, and that ended up going out to TV Jamaica, and there was like 600 shares, and official news piece in TV Jamaica as well. So there's the ability to influence overseas as well. So I think this idea of the diaspora being a connector between your customer and also these international audiences is a really key point for growth, I think, for large brands.